I don't know what's happened over the last couple of generations, but men don't help women. They don't offer to hold doors and things of that nature. And part of that obviously is because
They're being
radical
taught not to.
feminists, yeah,
Yeah.
have said, if you hold the door for me, you're implying that I'm weak. So it's not like it's just the fault of men.
Sir? I was wondering, are they planning a ceremony when we get in? I mean a reception?
A hero's welcome, son. Is that what you like? Well, God knows it should be. This time we've paid for the party with our dearest blood.
Hello, America, and to our friends around the world, greetings and welcome back. I hope you're doing well. We're diving in to a story, well, rather a group of stories that'll make your blood boil. The slow strangulation of American manhood by a justice system that punishes protectors instead of predators. We're talking about Edward Big Balls Corstein, a 19-year-old Doge, Department of Government Efficiency whiz kid, who jumped into a DC carjacking to save his girl. We're also talking about Daniel Penny, the Marine vet, who subdued in a non-lethal manner a subway, probably mentally challenged individual, violent individual based off of his rap sheet, to shield terrified New Yorkers. We've got Kyle Rittenhouse, who's infamously being sued left, right, and everywhere else, up, down, in the middle, for protecting his community from violent predators. Oh, but it was racism. No, it wasn't. Look into it. Stop believing the regurgitated slop and actually do something to benefit yourself and your community, and that is research and develop critical thinking. I don't like to chastise people on such matters because I don't feel that that is an appropriate motivation. But it's been how many years, and people are still vomiting lies? These three men, as well as others, lead to this unfortunate situation for Irina in Charlotte, North Carolina. And that is the persecution of men doing what it is that men do. I opened this up with Candace Owens, on the surface coming across as, essentially it comes across as men need to do better. But she ends it with, no, it's ultimately women and feminism that has done this. We've segued from there, into this issue has been solved in the 23rd century. Or maybe it hasn't. The point I'm trying to make, though, men still do what it is that requires of them to, their duty, their integrity, their honor demands of them to perform. Now, what I want to build up to before I segue into the next clip, showing, the media highlights of it. Dan on Men Need to Be Heard said recently, men, you have to examine the situation before you jump in. Is the person you're about to protect going to weaponize it against you? There's situations where a woman is being beaten and a man steps in, and the woman lies to police that her savior was the violent attacker until security footage proves that she's a liar. And that's not the only situation. You have women suing men for pulling them out of harm's way. The rampaging bus, oh, that's AI slop. No, it's not. Better Bachelor, Joker, pulls the whole case up and demonstrates to you he's being sued for inappropriate touching without consent. This nonsense has to end. But at least we have a little bit of faith that, at least in media, in our pop culture art, this has been resolved in the 23rd century. Men take action and do what it is that they feel they're called to do without question, without
McCoy.
reservation.
Leonard H., son of David.
With your approval, we shall use all our powers to return to his body that which you possess. You must now be warned. The danger to thyself, grave as the danger to Spock. You must make the choice.
I choose the danger. Hell of a time to ask.
Even reluctantly, men will step in the line of fire. They will step into the fire. They will brave the elements. Years ago, when I worked for a power company, the utility linemen, people said, yeah, they get paid a lot. You know, the reason they get paid a lot is because when there's a storm, those men are going to be out there 2 a.m. working on those lines to restore power to the masses. Those masses are the people whom are dependent upon life-saving equipment, whether it's in the winter needing heat, in the summer needing air conditioning. But it's not just that. It's as trivial as those with the CPAP machines for sleep apnea to people who require backup generators to maintain dialysis, and other such life-saving equipment that is not internally powered. That is what men do. Utility linemen, you get hired by them, they call you all kinds of names. Come on, move faster. That's not the right tool. Do it right. Don't do it at all. Get out of here if you're going to have that attitude. They do what they can to break you down, probably more so than basic training. But they do that to find out if you can handle words, then they'll keep you around. If you can't handle words, you're not going to be able to handle those elements and that challenge to get the job done.
Don't get smart, Tiny.
Side elevator. Agents on their way up.
Unit 2, this is Unit 1. The Kobayashi Maru has set sail for the Promised Land. Acknowledge.
Message acknowledged. All units will be informed.
Some people will call it, you need to do the calculus before you take action. And I would like to point out, that is what's been done with this. The crew of the Enterprise has served together for years. There's the 5-year mission. There's the V'ger encounter. There's another 5-year mission after that. So all of this time, you're looking at well over a decade that these core characters have served together, have had to have each other's back, have had to depend on each other's ability to push through whatever stress that they were facing to survive. People will tell you that in military units, that they were dependent upon their unit brothers. This, for Veterans Day, you can find people making posts that their brothers didn't survive, either because, as a result of their sacrifice in the field, or succumbing to the horrors afterward when they've returned to civilian life. So before you jump in and take action, You have to measure what it is that you are risking yourself. You're you're opening yourself up to legal liability, criminal prosecution and persecution, media slandering. Look at Nick Sandman. Yeah, he got a big payout in the end, but he was maligned maliciously by CNN and others for what? Standing in public? What is often overlooked, I suspect, in something such as this is the years of fraternity that had been built amongst these characters.
Aye, sir. The more they overthink the plumbing, the easier it is to stop up the drain. Here, Doctor. Souvenirs from one surgeon to another. I took them out of her main transwarp computer drive.
Nice of you to tell me in advance.
That's what you get for missing staff meetings, Doctor.
I don't have the answer. I am not your parent. I'm not God. I can't tell you, I can't order you how to handle any of the situations in real life that I provided examples and others that you've most likely seen in the news or witnessed directly. I can only tell you Ayn Rand made a quote. Ayn Rand, if you're not familiar, is the author of such books as The Fountainhead with Howard Rourke as the main character and Atlas Shrugged with John Galt as the main character, who's not introduced until, at least directly, not until more than halfway through the book. But her quote is something along the lines, and if I get it wrong, let me know. You can ignore reality, but you cannot ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. What is it? Newton's second law? For each action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. You punch a wall, all right, that wall, it isn't going to punch you back, but the amount of force resisting that punch is a counter force. So not only is there the laws of physics, not only is there I guess, I'm not certain what the appropriate term would be, but the law of philosophy, I suppose. But then there's the consequences that all of these men that I highlighted, Daniel Penny, Kyle Rittenhouse, Edward Quarterstein, and I mentioned Nick Sandman earlier. There are consequences for being involved. Am I telling you to go find a hole and hide in it? Absolutely not. What I am attempting to do is to protect what is mine, that is my home, that is the beings of which I'm responsible within my home, my property, and my surrounding community. And with each varying degree, think of it as concentric circles. You're at the center of that concentric circle, the old model of the solar system, for example, where the sun is the center and then equal distant circles radiate from there. Each radiating circle is less responsibility, less obligation, less duty. I mean, maybe that's a macabre way of describing it, but your first responsibility is to yourself. When I was in the military, we trained individuals to put their oxygen equipment on first in the event of a decompression. And the reason is that what is considered time of useful consciousness, TUC, is relative to your altitude and the type of decompression you're experiencing. A rapid decompression at over 30,000 feet, you've barely got seconds in which to get the oxygen on before you pass out. A slow decompression, it's more insidious. It sneaks up on you. So you have to make these decisions for yourself in order to protect yourself. If you don't protect yourself, you will be an abused victim. But you have to make that decision. Is what it, Dr. Laura Schlesinger was, famous for always saying, is this the hill you want to die on? And that's the question ultimately you have to ask yourself. Is involving yourself worth the consequences of the involvement?
I'm all right, Jim.
What about Spock?
Only time will answer. Kirk, I thank you. What you have done is...
What I have done, I had to do.
But at what cost? Your ship, your son.
If I hadn't tried, the cost would have been my soul.